learnt about deal with
the bootstrap, accordion, and the collapsion. Bootstrap, accordion, and boot. One more important option we need to deal is about bootstrap dropdown. Means today we will see how to handle bootstrap dropdowns. Dropdown. So generally, dropdown. Yesterday I told you that always use the dropdown for navigations. Navigations. Don't use dropdown for dynamically. Always use for navigations. So for that, Bootstrap provides imports like we have drop down. So we have drop down menu, drop down menu, drop down menu, and you have drop down menu directions. Like you have drop down menu left, you have like drop down down menu right, 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 and you have like drop down item, and you have drop down item text. So we have like drop down divider. So and we have like drop down toggle. So these are the options drop down. Let's see how to create a drop down and how to use a drop down. So we need to learn how to create and configure the drop downs for our application. So we will see how do we manage them. Mostly I told you that we will use these for navigation bars and all. So let's create one example. The head section I am copying. All the files are same, means the CSS files, everything you need is same. So drop down .html. And I'm using some heading like Amazon shopping. Okay. And we will create a button. Already we learned about button toolbar. We will create a button toolbar. So we will put the class as btn toolbar. And in the button toolbar, so we will put some bg danger. Okay. And here we will keep some button group. So in a button toolbar, we already learned we will have button groups. So this is a button group. Inside the button group, so we are adding a button. And these buttons will be like home, about options. Like I will use a span, and I will just keep some word like home. Okay. And this button is having a class some btn and btn danger. Right. So that is the button, one button we have. And another, beside that button, you can see the output for this. Actually, it will display the button toolbar in this way. It will get you the button toolbar, and this is the button toolbar. Beside that home, I want to create a menu so that user can select and access the options. Then beside this button, we will put a div. This div will have the class drop down. So it will have the class drop down. So drop down is used to create a drop down. Okay. How to design drop down? Actually, drop down requires a button, like so that when you click the button, a drop down menu will come and it will display drop down menu. So you need a button first. So this button have some class as BTN and BTN danger. So that is the button class we are having. So we configured the button class, and we will use a class called drop down toggle. Drop down toggle. So we will use drop down toggle. It is a toggle button, and we will give the button text as choose a category. Now this will add a toggle button here. You can see choose a category is there, and choose a category will come like a drop down button, so that you can define by using this class called drop down toggle. Drop down toggle will keep you that button. Okay. Now inside this drop down button, after under this button, we want a menu. Then we will create a div and put a class as drop down menu. We put the class drop down menu. Right. Here we are adding links for navigation, anchor. This is for some fashion. So fashion. So another link. So for footwear. Another link like electronics, like this. Now this is a drop down menu, and the drop down menu contains these options, and every link is considered as drop down item. It is considered as drop down item. This is a class, and this is drop down item, and drop down item. So drop down menu contains drop down items. So we have a drop down, and we have drop down menu, and we have drop down items. Href, you know how to define them. Href, how we can define. So this href is equal to, it has to go to some fashion.html. Suppose we have like website in that fashion.html. Already we created some pages like /website/. So it has to get some footwear.html, and href is equal to /website/ some electronics.html. We need to configure this. So these are the drop down items, and we created the links. And now important is, so you can keep a divider also. That means you see drop down menu is ready, but it has to work when the button is clicked. So for the button, choose a category button. We have to add an option as data toggle. Data toggle, it should toggle drop down. So you have to write data toggle as drop down. Then automatically this drop down, this is the drop down. It will on and off the drop down when you click the button. Data toggle is a jQuery attribute. It will expand. That means it will show and hide the items in drop down. So when I click on this, it has to open that fashion, footwear, electronics. And I click again, then it will be hidden. Once click, it will display. Again click, it will be hidden. You can see fashion, footwear, these are the options. Of course, you can put an iframe below. And you can open the link target in that iframe and display. So that means what you can do is just below the drop down, after designing the drop down. So just below, we can keep a section. In the section, we can keep an iframe. So iframe name is equal to frame body, and iframe width is equal to 100%, right? And iframe height is equal to some 400. And iframe style border, we will set it to none. That means iframe will not have a border. And the margin top, I will give to 20 pixel. Okay. And by default, iframe source will have from website. So we have like iframe, yeah, dot slash some website slash in that home dot html, something like this. So we have these. So that is how it can display. So you can see this by default, the home comes here. And when user chooses these categories like fashion, footwear, electronics, all these options, then those content need to display inside this iframe. So then you know what we have to do. So we need to set this target. Target is equal to, so we need to set target as frame body. So it gets the target into the frame body. And yeah, target, so frame body. So this is the target frame body. And when user selects this fashion, the fashion products and the footwear and electronics, all these data are displayed here and they are configured here, right? And many times in interviews, they ask this question like, how do we keep icons in a drop down? Is it possible to keep those symbols related to fashion, footwear, electronics? How you can keep those options in the drop down? Generally, in form, we have a drop down, but that form drop down will not allow you to keep any symbols. You have to design that by using this bootstrap. Then you will get those symbols and icons. And you know that for that we need to import the font awesome library here. So let's link the font awesome library, relation, style sheet, and href is from node modules. It's not in node modules, we have separate fonts. Yeah, in fonts, CSS, all.css. And the frequently asked question is about how you can get symbols in a drop down. And you know that. So in these links where we have mentioned about fashion, footwear, electronics, I can just keep a span and class FA and FA some t-shirt, right? Yeah. And here for footwear, so then we keep span and the class as FA and FA, so shoe prints. Yep. And for electronics, so we are defining a span and the class FA and FA as some electronics TV, right? Now you can see that. So these are displayed as options here. That is a very frequently asked question, like how do I, you can put colors, symbols, icons, anything. Colors, you have to change the font color. If you want a background, you can put the background color. Always use this for navigation. Don't use for dynamically adding or removing. Suppose we have some cities list. We want to display list of cities so that user can select a city from the list. For such things, don't use these drop downs. Now, based on this, I will give you one task you try to do. So like you can create nested drop down. Nested drop down means, so when user goes to fashion, in the fashion, some more categories should display. That means under this item, just like how you create nested list. So under these items, under this anchor, inside that anchor, so you have this span. inside this anchor, you put one more drop down, just like how we designed. Then it will come as a nested drop down. So if you are unable to try that, then I will post you an example by seeing that you can design. Because such drop downs are very frequently seen in all the shopping sites that you see. So right, so multiple categories will be there. You can expand and choose options from those categories, right? We can manage them through that. So you can try, right? You can manage that and you can handle that from this situation, right? So this is how we can create the drop downs and how you configure the drop down. What we will do is later, so once we are doing JavaScript and jQuery, along with JavaScript and jQuery, we will design some real-time examples along with functionality. There we will create such screens by using these. So at least at that moment, you will get an idea of how to design them and how to use them. So how we can design a drop down, that is important first, right? Designing the drop down is important first. Yes, you can do that. So already, so that you have to manage with jQuery, right? Because these are the attributes you are using toggle. Toggle means on click, they will work. If you want hover, you can keep it hover. So you have to learn about the events. So mouse events usually. So using those mouse events on mouse over, you can do that. That's not an issue, right? That is what I said that we will see when we can integrate with the jQuery, right? So you can see how it is designed and how it is configured, right? So that is very common thing. It's a general thing in JavaScript and jQuery based examples. You can see that happening, right? So you can see how we can design such components and get those components. So for creating dropdown, these are the important options you need to know. We will put them in different examples when we are designing with JavaScript. We will keep that in different examples. So this is technically how we can get the categories and display the categories using the dropdown. Now, generally, if you are designing any navigation, so mostly navigation bars. So we have two types of navigation bars. So in Bootstrap navigation, we have two types of navigation. We have a static navigation bar, and we have a dynamic navigation bar. We can see these two things how to design the static navigation bar and the dynamic navigation bar. Static navigation bar, so without much effects, you can just simply design that, which you can see by using the classes now. And now have now items, and they will have now tabs. Now tabs. They will have now pills. Now pills. So pills, right? So we have like now link. So this is a static navigation bar. It doesn't require much effects. It is a very simple static navigation bar. If you want to create a simple navigation bar, you can just use these options. Nav item, nav tabs, nav pills, and nav link. So that is very simple. If you want a dynamic navigation bar, for that you have to use nav bar combination, which I will show you. Suppose a simple static navigation bar, how you can design is, yeah, let's take this here and doc type HTML, and in the body, so we will just keep this class as container fluid, and below this we are creating, so we are creating a navigation bar. Usually it is created as an unordered list, so it will have list items. In that we have an anchor, so like home, and you can keep a span, and so we have the class as FA and FA home, so that is the class. And similarly, other list items, we can have other list items, so home, and we have like electronics, and we have like fashion, and here you have FA TV, and here I have like FA T-shirt. Okay, and these hrefs currently I will just give an hash href. You can give any specific location for that. Usually this looks like an ordinary unordered list. Usually that looks like an ordinary unordered list. Now how to display this as a navigation bar? Suppose I keep the heading as Amazon shopping, and how we can keep this like a navigation bar? It's very simple. This unordered list we have to put a class as now, and these items are defined as now item. So all these are considered as now item. So now contains now item. So now contains now item. So we have now item, and generally the text that you are displaying. So they are hyperlinks. For hyperlinks, you can use the class called now link. These are now links. So the class you can define as now link. So that is now link, and we have now link. So links can be defined as now link. And so once you define this, you can see that the navigation bar will be like this. So home, electronics, fashion, this is the general navigation bar you are having. Just it keeps everything side by side, and alignments also correctly formed and defined and configured. Actually, there are different styles. For navigation bar, what you can do is you can put nav tabs. If you put nav tabs, then you can see a tab style will come. You can see on mouse over, a tab style comes, electronics tab, fashion tab. Those tab styles will display. So you can also have now like now tabs, or you can have like now pills. But actually now pills requires a button instead of general navigation. They need a button, but means pills will be better for buttons. Buttons means don't use an anchor. Instead of anchor, use a button. Then you will see a pill style. For that, actually, you can use like BTN class. Then it will get a button style. Those are pill styles actually. You can put different colors, danger, primary, and different types of colors. So mostly, so you have nav bars, and it's a very static normal navigation bar. It doesn't have much content. Now, when you are designing this navigation bar, when you are configuring the navigation bar, so if you have to deal with dynamic navigation, then you have to create a dynamic navigation bar. So we need to create a dynamic navigation bar. Generally, to create dynamic navigation bar, so you need another set of classes, because this is a static navigation bar. In this static navigation bar, you will not have any responsive design. You will not get any responsive design. So to get the responsive design, and toolbar should fit according to the device that clients are using, then you need to create a dynamic navigation bar. Actually, to create dynamic navigation bar, so you have this is the dynamic navigation bar. And to create the dynamic navigation bar, we have nav bar. And the nav bar will have like nav bar expand, and LG and SM are the sizes for the nav bar. And we have like nav bar toggler, and we have nav bar. So nav bar toggler icon. We have nav bar toggler icon. And we have nav bar. So with the nav combination, we have different colors like nav bar. We have dark. We have like nav bar light, nav bar light, and we have nav bar brand. So these are used for designing dynamic navigation bar. So to create a dynamic navigation bar, you need these options. Dynamic navigation bar actually fits the content according to the device you are using. We can create it simply. So simple options are required for creating dynamic navigation. So let's create a dynamic navigation bar here. So same, all the scripts and styles are required, and we will create a nav. Yeah. In this navigation area, we will keep the class as navbar, and we will use navbar expand. Expand means it will set according to the width of window, and LG is the size. And we have like colors like navbar. Yeah, we have navbar like I given as dark, and we can say BG dark. So BG dark. So that is the navigation bar we are having. Navigation bar we are having. Now initially, this is a navigation bar. You can see at the top a simple navigation bar comes. Okay. Now in this navigation bar, so we need, this is the navigation bar. We need a button. This button so can be defined. Actually, this is the type button. It is the type button, and we will put a class as navbar toggler button. Usually, navbar toggler button will have navbar toggler icon. That means we will put a span, and here we will put a class as navbar. So navbar toggler icon. So navbar toggler button will contain navbar toggler icon. And we want a title. Title can be defined as, suppose, Amazon shopping. And this title can be defined with the href is empty. And we have the class. So class as navbar. So we have navbar brand. Brand is used for titles. If you want to display title, you can put a navbar brand. And usually, so navbar contains some items. So you can observe carefully here what is this navbar toggler and what is the navbar toggler icon, how it display. So navbar toggler and navbar toggler icon, how it display. You can observe here in the design, you can see now a particular button will come. This is the general navigation bar you see regularly. You can keep this button any side. You can keep left, you can keep right. So this is very regularly seen in websites, the nav bar toggler, that is the toggler button. And that is the toggler icon actually. Now what we have to do is, when user clicks on this button, I want some menu to open. That means we need to create some nav items. So what we do is, here we need to change this. Means we need to add a div, and this div will have an ID called nav items. Nav items. Okay, class we will give. This should collapse. Then we learned collapse. I will give collapse. And I will give it as navbar collapse. That means it will work for collapsing the navigation bar. And here we have to create nav items. Nav items are created by using unordered list. So this unordered list will have the class as navbar, and it will have navbar nav. That means it is navbar navigation, and that navbar navigation contains items, and this item contains a link. How to create items? Same. class. This is a nav item, and this is class. This is nav link, nav link. And inside that you can put an icon or symbol. Text you need now. So that means you can keep a text. So that means you can put a span. So in the span, you can keep the options class as FA and FA home, FA home. And you can give the text as home. So text as home. The same thing we have to do for others. So that means, so how many items you want, you can add those items like home. So like login, right? So I will say FA user, and I say contact, and here I defined like FA address book, something. All these options are defined, and these are all the options. And anchor requires href hash. So href is hash. So href is hash defined. That is how you configure this, and that is ready. That means the navigation bar is ready. Navigation option is ready. Observe carefully how we designed. We created a nav bar first, and in the nav bar, it will have expand. It have dark color, and we have a button. It is a toggler button. Now important, when user clicks that button, these nav items should collapse, expand and collapse. That means for this button, we have to write data target. Data target is nav items. So hash nav items. That means that contains navigation items. And data toggle is equal to. Now it has to toggle. Data toggle is equal to. It should toggle collapse, because all those options we kept in that collapse. Now you can see the design here. I click the nav, then these options will open. I click on that again, then they will be normal. And important, observe very carefully, when I change the zoom size of the page and that brand, that bar buttons will change to icons now. You can see home, login, contact will come. Especially when you are adjusting this onto mobile. I will open this, you see. So I will change to mobile. So in mobile, I will change the width. Automatically, when you are changing the width, that nav bar will come. You can adjust here also. I am adjusting the width, then automatically those items will display. When I am changing the zoom level, the items will come. And when I am increasing the zoom level, automatically it converts into a brand. That means it converts into a simple icon. Now when I click on that icon, it will open the options, and user can select the options. Those target can open and display there. That you can do. That means you can put an iframe below and you can design. This is the navigation bar. So it is a responsive navigation bar that generally you see in all the websites. In regular websites, the navigation bar that you see is this one. This is a dynamic navigation bar. You can keep anywhere actually, because see this nav bar brand I kept above the button. Above the button I will keep it. That means now you can see the text will be left and the button will be right. You click and the navigation items will come left side only. Right, but button location changed. Button location changed. Obviously, nav items will not come right side, right? It will come left side only. That just you need to handle. You need to handle. So this is a dynamic navigation bar. This is a dynamic navigation bar. Usually we use this dynamic navigation bar. So dynamic navigation bar. So the dynamic navigation bar actually seen in almost all websites. So it's depending on your requirement. So you can create a static navigation or you can configure a dynamic navigation and design. Right. So this is the navigation. Now, one more important regularly seen option in our bootstrap concept is regularly seen in bootstrap is models. That means we regularly see the concept of models. Actually, we learned about alert. Instead of alert, we have models. Actually, the specialty of models is nothing but models are responsible for uh, designing, uh, you can say, dialogues. The dialogues will pop up and they will allow the interactions through a pop-up. So we can create the pop-ups and dialogues by using the models, And designing models is very simple. Designing, configuring model is very simple. Actually, lot of classes are present, but designing is very simple. Actually, we have a model class, and we have a model dialog, and we have a model inner, model content. So, and in that we have like model header. So we have like model body. So we have like model footer. All these options are present. You have like model title. So model title. So we have like model model dialog center. It will keep centered alignment, right? And you have like model dialog scrollable. That means if there are many items, you can scroll the model. So model is also very simple to design. So, but very important. They are regularly seen in websites. For example, see here in the navigation bar. So these are the links we are having in the navigation bar. Okay. Now, usually, suppose when I say login, when I click on login, a login pop-up should come and it should display a login screen, right? Then what we can do is, so below this navigation, I can just keep a div. And this div will have a class called model. We will design a model for that. We'll have a model for that. And usually, so we have another div. Model is designed with a class as model dialog. Inside the model dialog, we will have a class called model content. This is order. Model contains model dialog contains model content. In model content, you can design a class as model header. Here we can put as a user login, that is the header, right? Colors affects your wish. Then we have a div. So this is having a class called model footer, model body. Inside the body, we can design a login screen. Temporarily, I'm creating a data list with the data term, username, and the data definition. We have a text box, input type is equal to text, and the class is equal to form control. So we have form control. Yeah. Now, and simply another data term, and here we have password, and data definition. So input type is equal to password, and class is form control. Okay. Now this is the body, and this will have a footer. That means here we will have the div, and this will be class as model footer. In the model footer, we can put a button login, and we can put a button as cancel. And the button login will have a class called btn and btn primary, and cancel will have like so we have class like btn and btn danger, like this. Now very important is for this button, you have this model, right? And model can have an id is equal to login. Now usually what happens is when user clicks, this model should pop up. This model should pop up and display, right? This model should pop up and display. We can give any name. So that means now what we do is on href, it has to access that login. That means here we will put hash login, and we will put data toggle, because href is data target, and data toggle, it has to toggle model. That means toggle model should open when user selects that login. And of course, so what you can do is when user clicks on the cancel, button, so we will put here data dismiss. It should dismiss model. Dismiss means close. You can put a close button also. That means in the header, I will put a button and I will put a class called close. So, and I will put a cross mark. And here we will put as a data dismiss is model. And usually now you see here we have a toolbar. So we have a toolbar. Now generally what we need is in this toolbar, there is a login. I click on login, a pop-up will come here. And you can keep that cancel, and you can see that it is cancel. You can keep anywhere. This button I want to put here. So that means we need to put the class as close. Yeah. So that is data dismiss. You have defined the data options. So you have just given this as data dismiss and data toggle options. So you can keep anywhere. So that means the navigation bar can be configured. You can keep anywhere. So that means under this user login, we will keep it here. So then it will be better in appearance here, login, it will give it. Right side, you have a close. I click on that, it will close. Or I click on cancel, it will close. You can display a pop-up and define a pop-up. And actually when you are designing model can have some effect also. What you can do is for a model, you can add effect like fade. You can use a fade effect for model. So then when user clicks on that login, it will come and open in a fading style, and cancel, and it will go slowly faded out. If your navigation bar is in this way, you can select login and it will show you that pop-up. And you can click on cancel, it will cancel the dialog. This is the general navigation and the models, how we can design the pop-ups for registration, for login. These models we will use regularly in our JavaScript and jQuery now for presenting alerts and displaying the contents. So these are all considered as models, right? How we can design and work with the models, right? So with this, we complete the important, all the concept of Bootstrap. Now we have to use them with our JavaScript and jQuery. In JavaScript, jQuery, we are going to use this all knowledge and design examples according to the situation. So now we need to start understanding JavaScript and jQuery. With that, we will start designing websites, screens, and presentations with interactiveness, right? Then how to deal with JavaScript and how do we work with JavaScript, that we will start in the next session, right? So tomorrow we will have a doubts session, right? That means until today's concept, HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, if you have any doubts, tomorrow we can discuss all the doubts. And once the doubts is completed, then we can start with JavaScript. Okay. Today go through all the topics and tomorrow let me know. So tomorrow only doubt session will happen. Okay. Everyone is clear with that? If you have any doubt, yeah, I will show you. I already told you that we will design in various screens, various examples, right? We will design. When we design, we will use all these options, okay? Right, right. So if you have any doubts, then we can get that in tomorrow's session, okay? Tomorrow, we will have all the doubts clarified.
ବାଛ କିଏ
ଆଣିବିନି ତାହେଲେ
ଆଉ ଚିକେନ ନେଇ ଆସୁନ
ଚିକେନ ଆଜି ଆଜି ସିଏ ଅଛନ୍ତି ଚିକେନ ଚିକେନ କଥା କଣ
ସେ ଥାନ୍ତୁ କଣ ଅଛି
ଚିକେନ ଚିକେନ ଫିକେନ ନୁହେଁ ବାଗେଇବୁ ନା
ବାଗେଇବ କିଏ ବସିକି ଘଣ୍ଟେ